Welcome to Missing Persons Archives, a channel dedicated to sharing real stories of those who vanished without a trace. Here, we explore the facts, the timelines, the investigations, and the unanswered questions behind each disappearance. These are more than cases. They are people, and every story deserves to be told. Subscribe and join us as we shine a light on the missing. In this episode, we examine disappearances that happened while people were doing something most of us do without a second thought: traveling. Planes, trains, rental cars, scenic roads, border crossings. These are the places they were last seen. These are the stories of Leo Whitaker, Karen Denise Wells, Charles Horvath, Deon Williams, and Mary Carpenter. Leo Whitaker, Costa Rica, 2001. Leo Whitaker was 86 years old when he vanished while on a humanitarian trip with his wife in Costa Rica. He and his wife, Virginia, had been married for 55 years and were active members of a Christian volunteer group called Maranatha Volunteers International. By 2001, they had participated in 40 missions together and were excited to begin their 41st. On November 8th, their group visited the Tabacan Hot Springs Resort. Virginia went for a short walk to wade in the springs, while Leo decided to rest on a nearby bench, or possibly inside the tour bus, depending on the source. She was only 15 to 20 feet away, but when she returned just 30 minutes later, Leo was gone. Security guards recalled that Leo had asked several people if they'd seen his wife. Then, he reportedly walked up to the security gate and asked if he could leave. The guards said yes and let him walk off alone. That was the last verified sighting of him. Just 15 minutes later, a friend drove 10 miles down the same road Leo had taken. There was no sign of him. No one saw him enter another vehicle. No witnesses saw him turn off the road. It was as if he vanished into thin air. The road was commonly used by resort guests to access other hot springs, so his departure didn't raise alarms at first. But Leo didn't speak Spanish, had hearing aids in both ears, and possibly suffered from disorientation or medical issues. Despite search efforts, no trace of Leo has ever been found. Leo was 5 feet 6 inches tall, 145 pounds, bald, wore glasses, and a white cap. He was last seen in a red and blue plaid shirt, blue jacket, and name tag. If you have any information, contact the U.S. Embassy in San Jose, Costa Rica, at 0115-0622-03939. Karen Denise Wells, Pennsylvania, 1994. 23-year-old Karen Wells, a single mother from Oklahoma, vanished during a road trip meant to reunite her with a friend in New Jersey. She left her infant son with her mother and rented a white Plymouth Acclaim for the journey. On April 12th, she stopped at the Pike Motel in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Around 7 p.m., she called her friend Melissa Shepard to coordinate meeting up later that night. An hour later, Karen was last seen by the front desk staff asking for directions to McDonald's. They watched her get into her car and drive off. She never came back. Melissa arrived at the motel at midnight. Karen's room was unlocked. Inside were her belongings: suitcase open, cigarettes, and a magazine on the nightstand, clothes unpacked, but the bed untouched. At 5:30 a.m. on April 13th, Karen's rental car was found abandoned 35 miles away on Route 274 near Tuscarora State Park. Both doors were wide open. The car was out of gas, battery dead, hazard lights on. Inside, trash from a fast food meal, a pair of shoes, some maps, a small amount of marijuana, and indications of criminal activity the police have never disclosed. Karen's change purse was found in a ditch nearby. Her odometer showed 600 to 700 miles unaccounted for, and the car had been driven off-road. Strangely, months later, the wife of a married man Karen had been seeing claimed Karen had called her, saying she got married and wouldn't return. Police believe that never happened. Karen's family had her declared legally dead, but they insist she would never have abandoned her baby. Karen stood 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighed 115 pounds, had blonde hair, blue-green eyes, and wore eyeglasses. In 2024, she would be 53 years old. If you have any information, contact the Pennsylvania State Police at 717-249-2121. Charles Horvath, also known as Charles K. J. Horvath Allen, British Columbia, 1989. Charles Horvath was a Canadian-born British backpacker traveling solo across Canada in 1989 after visiting family in Ontario. On May 11th, he was last confirmed staying at a campground in Kelowna, British Columbia. He sent a fax to his mother in England, promising to meet her in Hong Kong for his 21st birthday. But Charles never showed up. Worried, his mother Denise flew to Canada and discovered that all of Charles's belongings were still at the campground. Flyers went up, media got involved, and then an anonymous note appeared at her hotel. "I seen him May 26th. We were partying and 2 people knocked him out, but he died. His body is in the lake by the bridge." Police searched the lake. No body. Another letter arrived. "They're searching the wrong side of the bridge." This time, they did find a body, but it was not Charles. It was a local man who had died by suicide. Despite leads and rumors, no one has ever come forward with verified information. Charles's disappearance remains unsolved to this day. Deon Williams, Arizona, 1995. Deon Williams was a long-haul trucker from Kansas, a husband and father of 3. In May of 1995, he set out on a routine delivery to California. After dropping off one load, he picked up another and began the journey to Kansas City. But instead of heading east, Deon's truck was spotted speeding through Tonto National Forest in Arizona, 50 miles off course. Witnesses say the 18-wheeler nearly hit a parked camper, then came to a sudden stop. They saw Deon exit the cab, stumbling and rambling incoherently, repeating phrases like, "I'm going to jail. They made me do it." They called police, but by the time authorities arrived, Deon was gone. His rig was still idling in the forest, completely abandoned. Deon had no known history of substance abuse, but his wife said he had struggled to sleep in the days leading up to his trip. Despite extensive searches, Deon was never located until 1997, when hikers found his skull just half a mile from where he vanished. This was an area previously searched multiple times by volunteers and authorities. To this day, no one knows what caused his strange behavior, or what happened to him in the 2 years he was missing. Mary Virginia Carpenter, Texas, 1948. 21-year-old Mary Virginia Carpenter was excited to start a summer program at Texas State College for women in Denton, Texas. She left her home in Texarkana and took a train to Denton on June 1st, 1948. From the station, she grabbed a taxi to her dormitory, Breckenridge Hall. Virginia never checked in. The cab driver later told police he dropped her off around 9 p.m. and watched her approach two young men standing next to a cream-colored convertible. He described them as one tall, one stocky. That was the last time anyone saw her. Virginia had planned to become a lab technician. She had returned to college after caring for her ill mother and was rebuilding her future. Her boyfriend was ruled out, but suspicion soon fell on the taxi driver, Edgar Jack Zachary. Years later, his wife admitted she had lied to protect him, saying he didn't get home until much later that night. Jack had a record for petty crimes, and in 1957, he was charged with attempted sexual assault, though the victim later refused to testify. Jack died in 1984, never charged in Virginia's case. Despite leads, Virginia's fate remains unknown. She was declared legally dead in 1955. Virginia was 5 feet 3 inches tall, 120 pounds, with brown hair and eyes. She walked with a limp, had a gold Wittnauer watch, and was last seen wearing a white dress with stripes, red heels, and a small straw hat. Anyone with information is urged to contact the Denton County Sheriff's Office at 940-349-1600. Leo, Karen, Charles, Devin, Virginia. 5 people who simply vanished while traveling, each with a story left unfinished. The common thread: they were in motion, headed somewhere, on a journey, and then they were gone. If you found this episode compelling, like, share, and subscribe. Keeping these stories alive helps honor the missing, and maybe, just maybe, one day, helps bring answers. This is Missing Persons Archives. Stay safe, stay aware, and never forget the missing.